showcase our dynamic team here that, we are so proud of, because we can bring such beautiful nutrition offerings right to the comfort of your home via Zoom, whether we actually ship it to your home. When you think about all that Unite for Her is able to bring, a package in value of like $500 will bring women that are newly diagnosed or living with metastatic disease a week of sunbasket meals, grocery shopping, and a nutrition consult with Erin or Michele, and filling your fridge for $75. We have the Cancer Fighting Kitchen Cookbook that we give to you, these fabulous cooking demos and walking you through one-on-one. We really wanted to highlight so many different ways that we lead you through a nutrition type of shift. Everything from giving you guys 6 weeks of fresh organic vegetables, right? And delivering those to your home or picking them up at a CSA site. So we are all about being very comprehensive. We felt like what a better way to celebrate National Nutrition Month and St. Patty's Day than to have our very own front and center sharing all of the wonderful recipes that are really nutritious, are disease preventing, and just fun and joyful, right? Just fun and joyful. So Erin, I am going to let you start. Erin, you're going to sort of open us up today, and you're going to share a little bit about, we gave everyone this wonderful book that's like a second little ebook from Rebecca Katz, the Cancer Fighting Kitchen Cookbook that everyone is familiar with.
Yeah, I love that. And Rebecca has been such a fabulous resource for our entire community. And, if you've been through our program, if you are currently part of our program, you have the Cancer Fighting Kitchen Cookbook in your home. We provide it to everyone. And so, in looking at her resources, and, I read so much of what she writes and look at her recipes that she promotes and puts on her social media. And I saw her ebook that she was coming out with, Power of Yum. And, Michele, I'm sure you can agree, a lot of times when we talk with our community, there's often conversations around, I'm not a good cook. I don't like cooking. I don't feel comfortable in a kitchen. I don't know how to put a recipe together. And we understand that that can be a big struggle. So here I am, and I downloaded her ebook, Power of Yum, which if you registered for the Zoom link and you're watching this on Zoom, you should have that free download code so that you can have a copy for yourself. If you are on Facebook, message us or comment in the chat that you're requesting that code, and we will send that to you. So I'm reading this ebook, and Rebecca, as usual, does a fabulous job of breaking down how to use flavor to build recipes, to build delicious flavor. She resorts to that FAST method that she talks about in the Cancer Fighting Kitchen. So fat, acid, salt, and sweet, and using flavors and spices and ingredients in those families to make something taste delicious. And these are things that you can do on your own. One of the things that I really love about her ebook is she uses the term global flavor prints, which I will refer to often in the recipes that I will be demoing because they are right out of her cookbook. And what I love is that she does a really great job of, instructing how you can cook different methods of cooking. So for example, she's got chapters on dressings and dollops. She's got sheet pan cooking, stir fry, saute, salads, soups, all these different sections. And she talks about these global flavor prints so that you can use a combination of different herbs and spices, and now you create something that's got Indian flair or Mediterranean flair or Middle Eastern flair just by using different spice blends. I mean, talk about this really being liberating for a person that isn't comfortable working with these spices to begin with. She's all about building flavor, but she does it in such a fabulous way. So I thought, when I went to Sue and we talked to our Wellness Day team, and it was like, we have to do this. This is amazing. Our community will love this. So hopefully you'll really find this guide and this book as a fabulous tool to bring you a little bit more confidence in the kitchen. So with that being said, I want to jump right into my first recipe. So this is right out of her cookbook. So I'm going to start with a lentil soup. And lentil soup is usually pretty straightforward, but again, she's got different avenues that you can take so that you can spice up your lentil soup in whatever way that you want. I really love this. So let me walk you through how you're going to do this. And if those of you that reached out that may be cooking along with us, if you have your ingredients nearby, if you have questions along the way, again, as Sue said, please feel free to shout them out, put them in the chat. If you're on Facebook, you can put them on the chat. We're monitoring that as well. So first thing we're going to do, as with any kind of soup, we're going to start it with our basic mirepoix. So we're going to start it with onions, carrots, and celery. First thing we're going to do in a stock pot, hopefully my hat stays on. So if things go awry and this falls off, we'll deal with it. So I've got a pot. I'm going to start it on medium heat. We're going to add 1 to 2 tablespoons of olive oil. So this is really the base for so many soups. So know this onions, carrots, and celery is really a great way to start by building flavor. So this is the first thing that we're going to do. So 1 to 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. You know, and I love because things like lentils are really great pantry staples, right? They're things that are not super expensive, that you can buy a bag. She uses 1 cup of green lentils, which is less than usually what's in a bag. So know that this is something that you can make over and over again. Okay, medium heat, our oil is warm, our pan is warm. So we're going to start by adding in our onion, and we'll let our vegetables get warm. We'll let them start to saute, and then we're going to start building our flavor. So onions, carrots, and celery. And I don't know about you, but anytime I get onions, carrots, and celery, or even just onions in some olive oil on the stovetop, just sort of saute, it's such a comforting feeling. It, you know, the whole house starts to smell good. Everybody's sort of asking like, what are you making? I'm like, really, it's nothing right now. All I've got are onions going, but it's really a great way to get things started. So we're going to let this get,
right.
Yes.
You're so right, Erin. It's magic. It's like that smell is just magical when you put those flavors together.
It totally is magic. I love that. So we're going to let this saute and soften, and we'll let that cook for a few minutes, 4 to 5 minutes. So I want to point out the different flavor profiles that you can take for this recipe. So again, Rebecca has these global flavor prints that I really love this term. And so she gives you options for your lentil soup. You can have a Mediterranean way, and she lists out exactly how you can create a Mediterranean style of lentil soup, which I think is fabulous. I will be going with an Indian flair. So I'll be using some cumin and coriander. I've got turmeric and cinnamon, some fresh grated ginger. I love that flavor profile. So that really spoke to me. She's also got Middle Eastern, where she's using a little bit of allspice and coriander and cinnamon, very traditional in that type of cuisine. So again, even if you make this recipe more than once, it can be different every time just by changing up the spices. So again, she does a really fabulous job of sort of giving you, empowering you in the kitchen to feel confident about creating dishes. You'll start to hear the sizzle. We'll let this keep cooking. While we wait, I'll be mincing some garlic. So, you know, one of my favorite tools in the kitchen is a garlic press. So if you have a garlic press for mincing, you can absolutely use that instead. I'll just be mincing with my knife here, and we'll use some fresh garlic. One of our favorite hacks, Michelle and I talk about this often in our cookbooks, not in our cookbooks. One day we'll have a cookbook, but in our cooking classes, so we should put that on our goals for years ahead, is coming up with a Unite for Her cookbook, just saying.
Oh, it's on my goal, Erin, you know. I even have the name of the book, so
okay,
it's all there.
Next round of strategic planning, we'll do that. But one of our hacks that we absolutely love in our cooking classes is in your produce section where the fresh herbs usually are. You'll see tubes that we usually use some grated ginger, which I have here, but they also have grated garlic. So it's one of my favorite kitchen hacks. If you don't want to take the time to peel it or mince it yourself, you know, equal parts 1-to-1, whatever is used in a recipe, you can substitute that. So that's a huge time saver. Okay, so my soup base is warm. The beauty of this also is that, you know, the recipe calls for an onion, use whatever onion you have. I just used a sweet onion. If you have a Vidalia, if you have a red onion, if you have shallots instead, you can substitute nicely and the dish will turn out just fine. So this is also why I love soups, because you can sort of mix and mingle so often and the end result is still delicious. So our veggies are continuing to saute. I'm going to add my garlic, and I use 2 pretty big cloves. And I shared this with our Wellness Day team. And I'm not sure if the person that emailed this to me is on our cooking class tonight, but after a recent cooking class, one of our ladies emailed me and she said, with a little meme, and she said, I shouldn't use garlic by what the recipe tells me. I should add garlic by what my heart tells me. And Michelle and I often laugh about that, and Sue, because it's like, okay, if the recipe told me to use 1 clove of garlic, I'm at least doubling that because it's just so delicious. So I got a good little laugh at that. Okay, we're adding the garlic in for just about 30 seconds to a minute. We just want it to start to get warm. We don't want it to burn. We just want it to sort of warm up and start to infuse those vegetables. Now we're going to add our spices. Again, quick add, and then we're going to let it become aromatic, 30 seconds to a minute, and then that's it. So we've got some cumin, coriander, turmeric, which I absolutely love. We know the antioxidant power of turmeric. Michelle and I always say, get it from your food. So whether you're using turmeric root, having turmeric tea, using it in something like this, a fabulous way to use it. So we've got some fresh ground turmeric. We've got cinnamon. And you might be thinking, if this is new to you, like, oh, I don't know about the cinnamon. Trust me, it goes really well all together. And then I've got 2 tablespoons of that freshly ground ginger root. So that will go in. We'll give everything a mix just to get warm. Again, we just want the oil and the vegetables to start taking up all of those flavors. Once you start to smell it, that's when you know we want to move on to the next step.
And Erin, so you know, in the whole community that's joining, I actually put the download in the chat. So the download of the Perfect Yum is right there in the chat. You should be able to click on that and download it. Give me a thumbs up if you can do it.
Perfect.
In the, you know, right there, and let me know if it's working for you. If not, we'll have directions we can email out.
Perfect. Love that. Okay, next step is, so Michelle and I, what I'm adding to this recipe is my own little addition. We, I think, are in agreement that anytime we cook lentils, I always add a bay leaf. I think this is like a quintessential staple with lentils. So I am throwing a bay leaf right on in, and I'm using half a cup of the 6 cups of broth that we're going to use. So I'm just going to add a half a cup, and this is going to start to sort of deglaze our pan a little bit. We'll let the liquid concentrate. As it's warm, if you could smell like all those flavors just come together so nicely, it's really amazing. Okay. And, you know, soups, some soups, you know, some bean soups, they do, you know, it might be something that you want to make in a crock pot, or it might take a little longer on a weekend. But this is something you will see. The reason why I picked this is because, you know, it's like, oh, what kind of soup could I absolutely make in a 1-hour time that we have this event? Oh, lentil soup. Of course we could, because it's so easy. So we've got this sizzling. The liquid has reduced pretty quickly because my pan is quite hot. Oh my gosh, it looks amazing. Okay, and then from here, we're going to add the rest of our ingredients, and then we'll let this cook for a little bit, and then we'll move on to Michelle's recipe. So this is how easy you can throw this together. So the next thing I'm going to add are some rinsed green lentils. Anytime you're making a soup, you want to make sure that you're using either green or brown lentils. They hold up really, really well in something like a soup, because you don't want them to be so soft that they really start to fall apart. You want them to still get soft, but maintain their structure. Whereas if you're making something like an Indian dish or a Middle Eastern dish that might use yellow lentils or red lentils or black lentils, they break down. They are better for something like a curry dish. So know that in a soup, that's what you want to shoot for. So Rebecca recommends using 1 cup of a green lentil. This is probably a little bit more because I just had the rest of a bag in my pantry and I thought, well, you can't go wrong with too many green lentils. So they will go in. I did give them a good rinse and I let them drain. So I like to throw them in first just to kind of get toasty with all of those flavors and take some of that up. So we'll let that combine. Another pantry staple, so easy that we're adding, is 1 can of diced tomatoes. So this doesn't have any flavoring or salt with this, but use whatever 15-ounce can you have. If you've got one that has like basil and garlic added to it, fantastic, go for it. If it's the summertime and you feel like having lentil soup and you want to use some fresh tomatoes, by all means, go for it. But I'm going to put the whole can in. We'll give this a mix. And then we'll finish with our broth. So we'll add the remaining 5.5 cups. I'm using a low sodium vegetable broth. So I've got my 1.5 cups here. And then again, another pantry staple, you know, usually one of these containers in a Tetra Pak is 4 cups. So, and we always keep something like this in my pantry because I'm like such a soup person, but they're really good to use as a base for a grain because they add such immediate flavor. I do recommend anytime you're getting a chicken broth or stock or a vegetable stock, looking for, I should really pay attention so I don't pour it all over the stove. Wouldn't that be terrible? Looking for either a no added salt or a low sodium because that I want that to be something that we control in a recipe. Okay, so I am going to crack a little bit of black pepper. This is essentially the base of our soup. So with that, I'm going to turn this up to high. I'm going to bring it to a boil, turn it down, let it simmer with the lid sort of tilted off of it, 25 to 30 minutes, and it will be done. So with that,
Erin, I actually have a question for you. Is that okay?
Sure, absolutely. Ask away.
So a lot of chatter. Everybody loves the Cancer Fighting Kitchen Cookbook, which I can't agree more on. Ladies, I used this book 17 years ago when I was diagnosed. It was actually called One Bite at a Time, and that's how I stumbled upon this culinary kitchen. And then she rebranded and did another edition. So I can't say enough about it. And if you haven't found the avocado dressing yet, go to that page. Amazing, easy, simple. All right. So one question that Barbara had was, how about using bone broth?
Absolutely. You could use a bone broth, any kind of broth, if it's something that you're making at home. Even the veggie broth that we have on our blog that is a combination of different spices and different vegetables, and there's ginger root in there. Even something like that would be absolutely fine. If you don't have 6 cups of broth, but maybe you have like 3/4 of one of these hanging out in your fridge. Okay, great. Use the rest with water. Totally fine. You might want to manipulate the flavors a little bit. Maybe you're adding a little bit more to it, but you can adjust as you go. So there's so many different options as a liquid base. That's a really great question.
Terrific. All right. Are
Good.
you ready to transfer over, Erin?
Oh my gosh, yes. So this is really where the St. Patrick's Day fun begins, is real. Michele, okay, so I'm doing cooking. Michelle's having the party is really what's happening between the dynamic of us. So I will turn this over to Michele so she can get the party started.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Great,
Yep.
great. So, well, I mean, Erin, it is St. Patrick's Day, so we have to have some beverages that go along with your wonderful meal that you're making. So this is a lemon basil mocktail. So keeping in mind, just to piggyback on what we were talking about with the Cancer Fighting Kitchen Cookbook, everything that I'm using today, my favorite part of the book, of course, I love the recipes, but my favorite part of the book starts on page 29. And there's about 7 or 8 pages, and it lists all the different herbs and spices and foods, and it talks about their benefits: antibacterial, digestive aid, anti-inflammatory. So it's a good resource when we talk about, upgrading, making upgrades to our meals. Looking at that, you think, oh, well, I can add that, I can add this, and you've just boosted the nutritional value. So But I won't bore you with all those details as I'm making it, because we're gonna, these are fun drinks. So, all right, so lemon basil mocktail. First thing I will pour in is 2 lemons, the juice of 2 lemons. Now, does that sound like a lot of lemon juice? It does, but I have a solution for that if you don't want it to have that much of a bite. We love lemons in our family, so juice of 2 lemons is nothing to us. And whenever you're making any type of drink or smoothie, always start with the liquids. Get them in first. I have 1 tablespoon of water, 1 tablespoon of sugar, and 8 basil leaves. And these have been cleaned, so they are all ready to go. And that is it. Actually, one last thing. A handful of ice. Now, what I'm using here is a 3-cup food processor. Obviously, you can use a regular food processor or a larger one. You can use a blender. The recipe is enough just for 1 serving. So that's why I thought I would just put it in this 3-cup. But if you want to make a pitcher of mocktails, then, then it might be more appropriate to use something like that. So bear with me. I'm just going to blend this. All right. So before I pour it into my pretty glass, if you find that it's too much lemon, don't put that much in. Well, obviously it's already in now, but you can thin it out with some water. Or if you want it to be a little bit sweeter because it's too bitter and you don't want to add more sugar, maybe a squeeze of honey will, smooth out that acidic taste for you. Okay. So that's the beauty of cooking. As opposed to baking, where you have to be really accurate. Keep tasting it, and until you get it right, that's the best thing. All right, so the recipe says in your favorite daiquiri glass. I'm actually using a fun martini glass, and shout out to my friend Chatina, who is on the call today, or on the Zoom. She got this wonderful glass for me and my husband, or a set of glasses from Disney. So I thought this would be perfect. So there you go. Let me see so I can see. There we go. So look how pretty that is. All right.
Beautiful, Michelle.
And
I'm sorry I'm not there with you.
I know. Cheers, everybody. So good. Nice and tart, just the way I like it. So I think we're going to pass it back to Erin, correct?
Yes. So I have a question. If you wanted to make like an infused honey syrup or something like that with it, could you use a different kind of fruit to sort of infuse it, or something like that? What do you think?
Yes, absolutely. So a lot of times with cocktails or mocktails, you start out with a syrup. So what that means is, let's take one of the recipes I was testing had a mint syrup. So you take some sugar and some water. So boil some water on the stove, add some sugar, bring it to a boil, take it off heat. You make sure all the sugar has dissolved. Throw in whatever, herb you have, rosemary or whatever the recipe calls for. I was doing mint last week, and you let it infuse for about 10, 15 minutes. And then there's a flavored syrup for you. So you could do something with that. Instead of putting the sugar in, make your own infused syrup, use honey as well. And I'm glad you brought that up, Erin, because I wanted to go a little crazy. Add some lemon zest to it. So that will give it a nice lemony flavor right on top. And it also looks pretty. And when you zest a lemon, just do the outside, so you're just getting the peel. You don't want to go down any further to the pith, because that's bitter. So if you're using, just zest the outside, and you get those beautiful oils, and that's why it smells so good, because you are breaking into the skin, and that scent is being released. So thanks for bringing that up. So reminding me I wanted to do that as well.
Mm-hmm. So, and I'll be the one to ask the question in case anyone is wondering, because it is St. Patrick's Day. If I were to spice things up a bit and I did want to add a spirit to it, what might this pair well with?
While testing, we may or may not have added some tequila to it. That
Okay.
worked well. Yes, the tequila worked well with this particular beverage. Yes.
Okay. Just curious, in case anyone, you know, in the spirit of the holiday. Barbara, see, Barbara, somebody was thinking, I figured I will take one for the
Come on,
team and ask the tough questions.
Right. And we are, you know, Philadelphia was on the Today Show this morning for the oldest Irish pub, doing business, father-son team. Super
Oh
fun.
my gosh, I love that.
All right, listen, Erin and Michelle, I have a couple questions. I'm going to shout them
Okay.
off to you. Okay.
Okay.
So, Michelle, first of all, everybody loves your drink glass, so that's all good. So just one of our ladies just is saying, okay, I hear you can use, you know, in the book, it says bone broth is okay. Chicken's okay. Now I'm confused. It's all okay. Right, Erin? Like it's all okay that there's no hard line.
Correct.
Can you comment
Correct.
a bit on this? Because I think people feel like they have to be vegan. They have to watch every little bit of sugar and meat and dairy, and it's all a moderation. And just really being able to fill that plate first with a lot of plant-based food, and then enjoy the other things that you enjoy.
Absolutely. You know, and I'm really glad, number one, whoever asked the question, I'm glad you brought those concerns to light and asked those questions, because again, I'm sure someone else was thinking the same thing. And, you know, one of the things that Michelle and I often say is no one should feel like they need to strive for perfection in anything, including the way that you eat. You don't have to be 100% one way or 100% the other way. And Sue, you know, you're right on the money. Most of the time, yes, we all want to be having plenty of fruits and vegetables, drinking so much water, getting high fiber foods in, whether it's things like lentils or, you know, vegetables, different grains, beans, that sort of thing. So most of the time you want to bring those into your day to day. And then the rest of the time is when we sort of fill in now and again with a fun cocktail or mocktail that may have a little bit of sugar, you know, a special dish where we may be using a chicken broth if it calls for it, but certainly not feeling like we have to be 100% one way or the other, because what comes with that, and Michelle, I think you can comment a little bit on this, is really the stress that sort of hangs on our shoulders around our food choices and how that can be, you know, that can have an impact on our overall health and wellness.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, life is about celebrating and indulging. So, you know, whatever food or drink that you enjoy, that should be included in part of a healthy diet. You know, it makes us feel good. It brings enjoyment. You know, I always like to say our mental health is just as important as our physical health. So yes, completely agree.
Yeah. I hope that answers that question.
Yeah.
And I just want to, because I saw Alpha, our good friend Alpha, who has taught Erin and myself a lot.
So much.
He would add limoncello to this, which I might afterwards try that. So
my family is probably cheering in the background now if I could see them.
Now, there's another question in here. We get it all the time at our wellness days, right? And it's all about sugar. So, you know, the question was, what about sugar? Like, right? Like, what about, isn't that a no? So can you talk about that a little bit and the difference between honey and, you know, I mean, sugar, we know that, but again, there's this moderation and this training of the palate. Erin, do you want to comment on that?
Absolutely. And so certainly, you know, it's important to remember that our body thrives on sugar, right? Carbohydrate is sugar. So all of our cells use that for energy. So we really want to look at, most of the time, getting our sugar, getting our carbohydrates from really nourishing foods most of the time. So that means, right, not refined, not added sugar, but carbohydrates from our fruits and vegetables, grains, nuts and seeds, beans, lentils, peas, all of that good stuff. And minimizing, but again, not 100% negating even a little bit of added sugar or refined sugar. So it is okay, like Michele said, if we want to give ourselves permission to have that indulgence every now and again, to enjoy that moment, to enjoy that holiday, because it's all about moderation. And food is so much more than just putting nourishment in our body, right? There's also experiences like this and experiences with your families and memories that you create that are centered in the kitchen, that are centered around food. And it's enjoying those family recipes and those moments as well, with maybe some of those foods that you wouldn't reach for on a regular, but at that date and time, it's about celebration, right? And so it's finding that balance between the two. And understandably so, it can be very stressful for a person. And Michele and I understand that, and we hear you. And that's why we're here to sort of help you and coach you along. If you're having those moments of stress and anxiety, reach out to us. We have an open door policy always if you just feel like you need to talk through some things.
Yeah, I love that, Erin. And please know that our community, we are here like 100% for you. Email us, text us, chat it, like we really are the real deal. We are here to educate you and really just meet you where you are, because it's not easy and it's not one size fits all. We have another question from Linda that said, thanks for all the restrictions. It's really a tough change. And one of the tough change for her was to cut out dairy, collagen she talked about, and some veg to avoid estrogen while on hormone therapy. So that's another, sometimes people feel like it's such a firm line, and it's all about education. And that's where our team, Michele and Erin, come in to really sort of understand all the facts and the science behind some of the things that we're hearing. Sometimes we get sound bites and we take those out of context, right? So Erin, do you want to comment a little bit about just cutting back on dairy and what our philosophy is on that? And
absolutely.
And collagen, I guess I'm a little confused on the collagen. So
so we'll start a little bit with the dairy. So, and Michele and I have had lengthy conversations about dairy, and really looking at the data and what are there studies? What do studies show whether we should be consuming dairy? Is it, if a person's diagnosed with breast cancer, should they be having it? Should they be avoiding it? And to be honest, there isn't any real tried and true supportive science that supports one way or the other. So we always say it has to be a decision that you make on your own. What are you comfortable with? We'll certainly share that data with you. And so with that being said, if you choose to not consume cow's milk in your day-to-day, whether it's in the form of milk or yogurt or butter or cheese, we 100% support you, because there are other things that you can consume instead. And on the flip side, if you decide that, I feel pretty comfortable choosing, cow's milk and bringing that into my home, we always say, choose high quality, make those shifts, make those upgrades, get the best quality cow's milk products that you can, and then you can feel good about that dairy that you're bringing into the home. So it's really about quality in that regard. Okay. But again, it's never a 100% yes or 100% no, but it's also about what you feel comfortable with. And both Michele and I, we are supportive of whatever your decision is, whatever feels good to you. We're going to be your biggest cheerleaders.
Okay. And then the one question was on collagen, and it did actually add some confusion in our chat. So do you want to just talk a little bit about that? Because some people add it, and I don't know how you take it out, because I don't even know where I would find collagen in my real food.
So collagen is an incomplete protein. We use collagen in different forms to build tissues. It helps building between our joints. We use collagen as part of growing our hair and nails. So there's a big business around taking a collagen supplement. Here's the thing about collagen. So collagen is made up of individual amino acids. It's what all of our proteins are made of, right? We have all these different forms of proteins. Collagen is one of them. When our body consumes collagen, whether it comes naturally from food, whether it comes from something like a supplement, our body breaks it down just like it does all of our the fat and protein and other macro and micronutrients. Our body breaks it down into its individual amino acid parts. And then our body will use those amino acids wherever it needs to. So if you've just had surgery, our body's going to use some of them to heal that wound, to grow new tissue, to grow new cells. If you're exercising and you're building muscle, your body will use some of those amino acids to build new muscle. So ingesting collagen is never a guarantee that our body will then use it as collagen. That's not the way digestion works. Now, with that being said, if you consume collagen and it is something that you put into a smoothie or a shake, just like protein supplements, do I think that it's detrimental to you or it will make you sick? I don't. I think the risk is probably pretty low, but it's worth noting that it's not something that we need, right? We kind of get into this business of supplements and we sort of get the message that we need it in order to meet our needs, and that just is not the case. So again, if you consume collagen, you're comfortable with it, you want to keep doing it, okay, great, go for it. But it's not something that you need. So that's a really good question. It's a big business right now.
Yeah. Follow the money trail. I always say that. I always say follow the money trail,
Yeah.
Real food, get it from your real food first, right?
Yeah.
Go there
Yeah.
first. And then
but I understand the incentive. I understand the attraction between it, because we all get caught up in it in different areas of our life too. If you looked at my bathroom skincare routine, I would fall right into that category,
Yeah.
so we all, so I understand where that thought process comes from.
All right, Erin, do you want to move on to your salad?
I do. So you'll see me periodically going back and just stirring my lentil soup. It's sort of thickening a little bit as the lentils cook. So it's looking pretty good. I really can't wait for dinner. My next recipe also is out of the Power of Yum cookbook. So Michelle and I talk often about making your own salad dressings, and it is so easy. And Rebecca does a fabulous job. This particular recipe is on page 18. If you've pulled up that file or you're perusing through her ebook. She does a fabulous job of starting with a salad dressing base and then building on it. So you can, again, create something unique depending on the steps that you take. So today we're going to make a lemon tahini dressing. And to my background, I've got a Flag of Ireland salad, which I thought was really fun. So it's got some spinach and pear and some oranges, some pistachio. I'll top it with a little bit of feta, and then we'll use this dressing to top it. So this will be a fabulous part of my dinner. So thank you. Okay, let's get started. So really easy. We're going to start with Rebecca's basic lemon vinaigrette to start her salad dressing. So the first thing we're going to do, I've got some Meyer lemons here. You can use a Meyer lemon, you can use a traditional lemon, whatever you want, but we're going to start with zesting it. So just like Michelle zested her lemon for her mocktail, I will do this. And there's just this punch of lemon that you get from the zest. That's just so good. I just love this. And then I like this also because as I taste this as we make it, I have another lemon here if I want to end up adding some zest at the end. So know that you can sort of manipulate this nicely. And I'll add 2 tablespoons of lemon juice to this. So we'll juice this fresh. If you don't have fresh lemon juice, but maybe you bought fresh lemon juice in the bottle, if that's something that you use, it's totally fine. Use whatever you want. Also, I would play around with different citrus. So maybe you start and make like an orange vinaigrette and then you build from there. That might be something that's fun too. So 2 tablespoons, I'm generally speaking, usually get about 1 tablespoon of juice per half. So we'll do 1 whole one. And we're going to add a little bit of salt and some freshly ground black pepper. So this is her basic lemon vinaigrette to get started. So from here, if I wanted to just keep this as such, this is step 1, I would whisk in a little bit of olive oil, and now we have a start of a really basic salad dressing. But we're going to build. We're going to take this to Rebecca's next level. because I love that she adds a little bit of tahini for some creaminess. So, tahini. I'm adding a 1/4 cup of tahini. I love this. If you don't know, tahini is ground up sesame seeds. They are a fabulous source of plant-based calcium. So this is a really great way to get some good nutrients in. So all the tahini will go in. And you can usually find this where the other nut butters are. Sometimes you'll find this in the international section because tahini is used in a lot of bases for dishes. So that will go in. And now we're going to add some spices. So I've got some cumin here and a little bit of cinnamon and a pinch of cayenne. Now, Michelle, I tried to remember in one of your cooking classes, we were talking about what exactly a pinch is.
Oh, yeah.
Was it like 1/16?
Yes.
I'm making a mess over here.
Am I on mute still?
No, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. 1/16 of a teaspoon, because I think a pinch, well, some fingers might be smaller than others. So we'll go with 1/16.
I love that. Okay. I'm adding a little bit of water, a couple tablespoons of water. And so initially I'm just whisking this to get nice and thin. And then from here, let me move these out of the way. I will stream in my extra virgin olive oil, 1/3 cup of extra virgin olive oil. And you just, whisking as you stream in will help emulsify it. And I really like the pinch of cayenne, I'll tell you, really adds the most subtle hint of heat at the end. It's not overwhelming. It was just a teeny tiny bit. And I love this. And here you have it. This is Rebecca's Power of Yum lemon tahini dressing. And this is how easy it is to make your dressing at home. Now, when I make my salad dressings, I usually store them in a glass container. We have these tall glass bottles that have a lid, which is also why I really like making them in something with a lip, because when I store it in my storage container in the fridge, it's much easier. So what I'm going to do, I'll show you my salad. Okay, so here's my Flag of Ireland salad. How long will the dressing last? That's a great question. So I would probably keep this for up to a week in my refrigerator because there's no dairy in it. If I decided to use something that was dairy-based, like a yogurt instead, I would use this up to 3 to 4 days, keeping it cold in the refrigerator. So that's a really good question. Okay, Flag of Ireland salad. Love that. Little bit of orange, little bit of white, little bit of green. I'll drizzle some on top. And then, this is great. And if you don't like the consistency of this, like if it's too thick, add a little bit more of the water to thin it out a bit. If it's too thin, you can add a little bit of tahini to it. Oh my gosh, that looks really good. Okay. And then the rest, I'll pour into my little storage container and into the fridge it goes. Let's try not to make a mess.
You have chopped garlic in there.
I'm sorry?
What do you think of a chopped garlic in there?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Yeah, so if I were to add garlic to this, I would mince it. I would definitely put it through my garlic press so that it was really fine. Unless you live in Michelle's household and you like whole pieces of garlic, because I know that she loved it, but I like something a little bit finer. So I would put it through my garlic press, but I think that would be a fabulous addition to it. And then I'm going to top this. We say if you choose to eat cheese, keep it as a condiment. So I'll just finish this with some feta that was in brine as a finisher. And this would make a fabulous meal. It's got a nice balance of some healthy fat. We've got vegetables, fruit, the pistachios that are on there add some fiber and healthy fat and some protein. This is a really nice light addition or a post-dinner meal. So that looks great and festive for the holiday. So that is our lemon tahini dressing.
Mm-hmm. All right. I think
Delicious.
we're going to move over to dessert now. Is that correct?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And then Erin, if you could just look at the chat, I just wanted you to help Linda out. She just had further, comments on the collagen. So if you can just look in there and just answer her, that would be great.
So I have a little trouble because I'm on my phone. I'm not on my laptop.
All right. I'm going
So
to
I can't see the chat. Yeah. By all means. Yeah, by all means, ask away.
Her question was, she's like, thank you very much, first of all. And the confusion was based on info that collagen is extracted from animal bones. I was hoping to add to my diet with additional vitamin D, calcium to help fight osteoporosis, which is worsened by hormone therapy. So that was her confusion, was that collagen is extracted from animal bones. I was hoping to add to the diet.
Yeah, typically a supplemental form of collagen. Now, I don't know 100% because I think it would be, there may be some brands out there that I am unfamiliar with, but generally speaking, supplemental form of collagen comes from some sort of animal source. So yes, that is correct.
Yeah. And you know what, Linda, too, feel free to always email Erin. She can pop on the phone with you. Like, we are here, and trying to, get to the root of your question and your concern. So don't feel like if you're not quite sure, it's okay if we didn't quite answer it, and just give her a ring or send her an email.
Yeah, and I would love to chat a little bit more, Linda, because this comes up a lot. So bone health comes up often, and it's often something that we bring up, especially if someone is on an aromatase inhibitor or some sort of hormone blocking, because we know that relationship between our hormones and our bones is really significant. So it's often something I bring up just to say, hey, as women, we should be paying attention to our bone health in general, because we know that we are at a higher risk of osteopenia and osteoporosis as we age. So not only lifestyle factors, but sometimes supplemental in the form of calcium with vitamin D or magnesium, assisting that with vitamin C, which helps absorption of calcium. They help each other, is worth noting. But I would love to talk a little bit more about from a nutrition and a dietary perspective and a lifestyle perspective, how we can support your bone health. So Linda, if you don't have my email address, the easiest way to reach me is nutrition@uniteforher.org. That email comes directly to me.
Awesome, Erin. Thank you.
Thank you.
One more question in there too was just, what's exactly in your salad?
Oh, yes. So I based it with spinach. I have baby spinach leaves. Use whatever greens that you have. So if you have romaine or you have a red leaf lettuce, use whatever you have. I sliced up some pear. So that's what you'll see here. I had some mandarin oranges that I got. So I just broke one open and I have little pieces of mandarin oranges. I've got some raw pistachios on top. And then I finished it with a dressing that we just made and a crumble of some feta that was in brine. So I just crumbled that finally. So pretty, really, really simple. Feel free to substitute if you want to use another nut or a seed instead of a pistachio. You could use almonds or walnuts instead. So, even different types of orange or citrus if you wanted to add grapefruit or a blood orange. I'm seeing blood oranges in the grocery store. They're really delicious this time of year. So there's a lot of versatility to this. Avocado would be good. Yeah, avocado would be fantastic. And even in this dressing, I think if you wanted to use some really ripe avocado to make this a creamier dressing instead of a tahini, you could do that too. That's a fabulous idea.
Yeah, it actually reminds me of the avocado dressing that's in the Cancer Fighting Kitchen Cookbook. All right, I think Michelle is going to take us home with a fabulous dessert. Is that correct?
Yes. So this is my take, and I hope I'm allowed to say this, on the Shamrock Shake. I don't want anyone knocking on my door. So I renamed the Shamrock Shake to my Lucky Clover smoothie. So obviously a little bit healthier than what we're used to, but I'm telling you, it tastes very similar to a Shamrock Shake, and members of my household agree. So you will not go wrong. Trust me, you got it. You have to try this. Okay, so like I had mentioned before, we are going to start with our nut milk. So you can use any type of nut milk, almond milk. Oat milk is a little bit creamier, a creamier nut like cashew or macadamia milk, completely fine. Regular cow's milk is fine, or even water. So whatever you want as your liquid, you cannot go wrong. So this is 1 3/4 cup of almond milk. If you want the smoothie to be a little bit thicker, maybe just drop it down to 1.5. If you want to thin it out, then maybe go up to 2 cups. Okay, so I have my nut milk in here. How we are going to sweeten this is with dates. I have 5 dates here, and make sure they are pitted. You don't want to, ruin your blades with the pits in there. So 5 dates. And dates, I think, we're starting to see them a lot more in protein bars or snack bars. They are an excellent sweetener for anything, or even the energy balls. I think that's become popular too. And a lot of those are sweetened with dates. So consider using that. We were talking earlier about refined sugars versus natural sugars. So dates are definitely a good way to go. All right, next ingredient, I have avocado. And this is a wonderful, healthy fat, monounsaturated fat, brain health, heart health. What it's doing, the purpose in the smoothie is it's making it nice and creamy. Excellent addition. All right, handful of spinach. If you are new to making smoothies, I would start with spinach. If you want a little bit more of that green taste, try some kale and move on from there, but definitely start with spinach. Last but not least, peppermint extract. This is only 1/4 of a teaspoon of peppermint extract. You do not want to go more than that because it will ruin your whole smoothie. If you think, oh, I love peppermint extract, don't do it. You will probably throw the whole thing out. So 1/4 of a teaspoon, and we were talking earlier about, how the kitchen smells wonderful when you're doing garlic and olive oil. I came downstairs and my kitchen smelled like peppermint oil, or peppermint extract. Please don't use peppermint oil. Do not use an essential oil in there. Peppermint extract. And peppermint or mint is a good digestive aid. So you're having some digestive issues, peppermint tea. I don't know if I'd go as far as making something like this, but the point is that peppermint or mint is very soothing to our stomach. Okay. I added in my ice. I'm going to turn this on and get this mixed.
We had a question, Michelle. Michelle Marinara wanted to know, can you use fresh mint? And also how much ice?
Yeah, so I was just turning it off. Was the question, can we use fresh mint?
Yeah, fresh mint. And how much ice did you put in?
Absolutely. So I used the recipe calls for 1 to 2 handfuls of ice. I went ahead and used 2 handfuls. And by all means, I think fresh mint would definitely work as an added nutrient benefit. However, I think the peppermint extract really gives it that minty taste. But I think throwing the mint in there would give it a little bit of a different flavor, and then it would be a wonderful garnish too. Absolutely. All right.
And then one other question, Michelle, is can you use honey instead of your dates?
Of course, absolutely. So with the honey, because you're using 5 dates, which are really, really sweet, I would start with a tablespoon of honey and taste it and go from there. If it's not sweet enough for you, go a little bit more, but I think a tablespoon would do the trick. You could even use a nice, good quality raw maple syrup as well. That could work too.
And while we're on the subject of sugar, sugar is always like such a big hot button for all of us. So what about Truvia instead of sugar?
Yeah, so thinking about as we make all these wonderful upgrades to our diet, everything we want to put into our bodies, we want the most nutrition from it. Now, obviously, when we talked about indulging, we don't eat sweets and treats for the nutritional value. We do it for the enjoyment value. So if you think about the sweetener, raw honey, that's coming right from the honeycomb. If you think about maple syrup, it's coming right from the tree. So those are good quality sweeteners because you're getting all the phytonutrients, vitamins, and minerals from it. So a stevia or truvia, which is from the stevia plant, stevia is a leaf that's processed down into a powder. So is there anything wrong with it? No, not at all. It's just you're not getting all of the nutrients from the original stevia leaf, but it's perfectly fine to use.
Great. Thank you, Erin. I think that's all the questions that were in there right now.
So this is the final product. It's still nice and thick, and it's a beautiful green. I have a nice festive St. Patrick's Day glass in my green straw. So again, cheers. I feel like I got the good end of the deal, making these really quick and easy drinks, and Erin's doing all the work, sweating over there.
That's so good. Fun. I'm going to add Erin. I am not sure if Facebook Live will put both of you together, but we're going to give it a shot. But I know here with our participants, we got you together. So ladies, that was great. Erin, what do you have going on next? Are you ready to do your soup and showcase that?
Yep. So I am just going to plate my soup. I tasted it. I added a little bit more salt and pepper just to taste at the end. But it is done. The lentils have cooked up beautifully. This is how quick it cooks. So you could do one of two things. So Rebecca has you lining your serving with some spinach or greens at the end. You could also add this at the end directly into your soup, which I may do and just warm it down anyway. But for the sake of the power of yum, I'm just going to add some soup on top of my greens. The heat will cook them down. This smells amazing. And I cut up. I'm garnishing it with some fresh basil that I have. You could use parsley, basil. If you have a little bit of oregano, that might be good for it. So use whatever fresh herbs you have. And you've got a beautiful bowl of lentil soup, courtesy of Rebecca Katz and Power of Yum. So delicious.
That's beautiful. So ladies, I did put that download in the chat twice. You know, if you came in later, you miss everything that's before the chat. So I put it in twice. If you don't see it and you can't download it, please email us at nutrition@uniteforher.org. Or if you go on Facebook, I know that Corianne was on there trying to make sure that we get that download to you directly. Okay, so any last closing remarks, ladies?
No, this was wonderful. This was wonderful. And I'm so glad everyone popped on. You've had great questions. Gloria, I'm so glad you're here. Karen, Michelle, it's so good to see everyone. So this was really fun. We thought it would be a great way, to spend the holiday. Most of us are not out gallivanting this year. So we thought it would be nice to kind of have our own holiday happy hour together. And I know Michelle and I, we love hanging out with you. So this was great.
Yes, this is definitely one of our highlights, that we get to be with everyone. It's nice to see some familiar faces. We enjoy. We hope you get a hold of those recipes and try them, and let us know how you like them.
That's awesome. Thank you, ladies. I agree. Fun night. And Erin, I just had to smile when I saw your mom in there cooking with you. I love it. She's over her pot cooking with her daughter. So, A plus, Colleen.
Yeah. Way to go, Mom.
There you go. All right, everyone. Happy St. Patty's Day. Enjoy your night. Yeah.
Thank you,
everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Bye, girls.
Bye. Bye.